The first one is order to cash, which means what is the process from the first customer order all the way to the cash hitting your bank account?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So Vincent, tell us, what are the most important steps that we have to do in company to build the culture, that that the whole team belong as part of the company, and so like this you can make yourself obsolete, which is an amazing concept.
Yes, absolutely. For this, I recommend the book Managing Corporate Life Cycles by Ishak Adizes. It's the last name is spelled Adizes, and he describes that there's 4 elements, and you can actually think about 4 elements in terms of 4 people. The first one is the entrepreneur with the idea and how to, what this business is actually about. So this is of course essential. Without this, no business will start. The second one is someone who is really about performance. So you need to have this idea, you need to have a product, and then you have to have the second person or a second function where they say, okay, give me that thing and I will get the sales. I will produce, make that product, I will get the sales. So you have these 2 dynamic, and that works. The third one is you have to have someone who's great actually at administration, because at some point, and this is quite early actually in the process, and at the beginning, you might get a partner from this, but you need to figure out some basic stuff as well. How are things being done? How are the financials reported? Who does the tax returns? This is serious stuff. This can kill your business immediately if you don't watch out for these rules. So you have to have that administrator in your business. And then the fourth type, and this is usually it's overlooked in a lot of cases. I see this also as a business advisor, that even bigger companies of maybe like 500, 1,000 people, they're really overlooking this part, and that is the integration part. And here's why. So when you have the management, and then you have sales and operations and finance, and you can pretty much describe any company like this in a very simple way. You build these functions which have their purpose. And then what naturally happens is they optimize vertically into their units, which is great. And this is how people are incentivized. However, at some point, as the business grows, and it doesn't mean that it grows people-wise. It can be that you grow transactions, you add more tools, more automation, more different things. The risk and actually it's a high probability, and this happens so many times, is that within these units, what happens doesn't fit with the other ones anymore. So sales starts to sell something because they have a great idea. Say, hey, we're going to sell it like this, and we're going to offer the clients that thing. And they don't actually talk to the finance department and see if they're actually prepared. If no one talked about this discount being given, right? Or they want to take out, explain another feature and say, hey, why don't we tell them that they can use it also this way? And then the operations people who are actually taking care of the product say, wait a second, no one discussed this with us. This doesn't actually work. We're going to be disappointing our customers. So here comes this really important element in, and this is what I specialize in. And this is the integration, where we really think about what happens. What are the parameters from the very, very beginning? And you can think about it in 2 major processes. These are end-to-end processes, which are standard, and you can apply them, and you must apply them everywhere. The first one is order to cash, which means what is the process from the first customer order all the way to the cash hitting your bank account? How does this work in your company? Who is doing what? Why are they doing it? What are they doing upstream? What are they doing downstream? This is absolutely essential. There's another one which is called procure to pay. It's kind of a subset. This has to do with I'm ordering something from a business partner or for a supplier, and I receive everything, and at some point I pay them as well. And you would not believe how much time is wasted on these processes, and there's so much inefficiencies. And on a higher level, this really impacts the culture of the company as well, because when people are working in different jobs in these functions, and they're completely lost with what they're doing and the purpose of the company, and they can tell, hey, wait a second, this doesn't make really a lot of sense. But then this kind of idea is lost on the supervisors of them, or they don't have this impact and there's no attention on it. It can be extremely frustrating, very, very demoralizing, and at the end, you will lose the best people on this as well. So you have to really think about this like integrated What are we actually doing? And this is a continuous exercise. This is how you can. This is the only way to be successful. Last example, by the way, from Steve Jobs. It's described. You can read it in his biography. He's famous or infamous for the fact, and I think he should be famous for it, for a lot of things. But he took care that when he put people in charge of different units or different business parts or functions, and then he understood or he observed that they were not working with the other ones, he would fire them. He was like no questions asked, because he understood this idea. And this is what made Apple so successful. This is how they were able to create, for example, iTunes and were faster than Sony Music, who at the time had access to all the artists, and they couldn't put the MP3 player and the artists' rights to all the music together. Sony should have basically done it, but they failed because of the integration was missing.
Yeah, I think, Vincent, that this point that you just touched is so important. And let's go even deeper, which is the ability of big organization to respond to change, right? So let's see that what is happening is that when you're talking about all these vertical integration, sales, accountant, and they're all vertical like that, and they're not talking to each other. And what it looks is like a big ferry, a big boat, yeah, where every line is one of these vertical. But what happened is that the market changed, is something changed to move that boat with all these verticals integration like that. The response to change is really slow. When you apply exactly what you was describing, that the interconnection between the departments, the whole thing works like they are little boats working as a group. So what happened, because all of them are little boats, if you say turn right, all the little boats will turn right quickly. Turn left, all the little boats will turn left quickly. Whether on the other hand, it looks like a big boat, a massive boat, and that's why there are huge companies that they have been extremely successful in the past, that they doesn't exist anymore. Or exactly what you said, the ability of Sony to change fast, because they have everything, but they were functioning like this huge boat, so the response to change was really slow. Whether Apple was more flexible, and Steve Jobs made sure that the whole thing worked like little boats. So if we have to change, we change quickly, and every boat talk with the other boat quickly, and hey, turn right. So as a consultant, when you arrive to the companies and you go and share this vision, how many barriers do you find in the organization, the corporation, to actually understand this concept, understand that, even if you are a massive organization, you have to be able to respond to change fast. Something has to be done in terms of the structure of the company to respond to change fast, because it doesn't matter that you are a massive multi-million company. If you cannot do that, you can go out of business. You are a tech guy, so technology can advance, and you can become obsolete. I mean, the whole organization can become obsolete, which is completely different ballgame, that the founder becomes obsolete. So what message do you have for these big corporations that they are like this giant elephant, this giant boat, they are huge, but still they have to understand that concept, that the most important in a massive company is the ability to respond to change, and the more that they work in optimizing the process between the department, between the C-level, between they will be able to respond to change really fast, and that will give them huge competitive advantage. So what's the biggest challenge when you go to companies and you want to come across this message, or when you do your public speaking? So what's the biggest barrier that you find, and how you overcome that challenge?
So there's the biggest barrier is, and it comes back to your questions in the beginning, actually, it's about this attachment to an idea, or it's an attachment to ego. It's this attachment to, hey, things were great in the past, so why shouldn't they be great in the future as well? This attachment is the most dangerous thing that people can have, and having this kind of like this, it's a mixture also of, like, let's say hybris, and thinking, okay, we will just keep going forever, and not having the humility to look at the reality of the situation, looking at the competition. And this is why it's so important, as we covered it, as a leader, and especially as directors of these companies, but it applies to everyone in leadership, is that they must have enough time to step away from the situation, to let's say meditate on it in whatever shape or form that can happen. You can go have sports and go for a hike or go swimming. It doesn't matter, but you have to have that distance, that healthy distance that breaks that attachment from how you would like the world to be to actually what the world is actually like. And then you need to, so this is a huge barrier. And then there's a second element. This is so what I tell my clients is, or usually this is how they know that they need to have someone like me take a look at the situation first. If it's someone like me that they need, right? Because I cannot solve all the problems, but I can solve for sure this problem, which is you can detect it when business is kind of slowing down. It's kind of like stagnating. It doesn't have to be like falling already, but it's stagnating.
As long as it's stable, something is wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Something is wrong.
So even when and this is also in the book, The Management Corporate Life Cycles, as the curve starts to go down, you have to already this should be the first like red warning sign. Yeah, something is happening, and usually people miss this. They think, oh, it's just, we'll just ignore it. And
they blame the market, they blame
external factors.
This is the market, this is the stock market, this is the reception, this is this is European Union, this is and they don't look deep that this have nothing to do with any of this. The problem is inside the structure of the company, right?
Exactly. Yes. And there's two more elements that are warning signs. So one is, which is the structural one, where you can ask the question, okay, are the particular tasks that are being fulfilled, can you name the departments or the teams that take care of them? Or will you name people who do them? If you have individuals, you are in big trouble. Yeah, because you can destroy the whole company if something critical is happening, is basically depending on one person. And also another warning sign is that people are starting to leave. So you always have some kind of natural attrition. People just go on do some other things. But if this is taking place in a more pronounced way, that's where you need to look at this. And then it's almost impossible to do it internally, but it could be done. But the way why it makes so much sense for someone to come in like me is that I can do it much faster as an external person, because I talk to literally everybody. I start with the corporate leadership, with the entire C-level. Then I talk with all the people who are running big projects. Usually these companies, sometimes they're already doing like transformation projects because they're trying to do something right, but they're not really sure what to do. So they're putting up these projects. Usually it's way too many projects. They're not very well planned, but that's another story. But and this is another key, I talk to everyone who is really doing operational things, from the accountants to the procurement people to the sales agents. And these people, they can see what's happening, and they will tell you, these things that need to be changed. And usually, or they just ask questions, say, well, I'm doing this, I have no idea why. I don't think this makes sense. And this will give you so much information of where the integration is lacking. And then I distill this. And this can be, I usually do this within 2 weeks. It's usually quite straightforward. Of course, the transformation isn't that straightforward, but finding out these reasons. But then the management has to be humble enough to say, okay, well, we should probably address this. They can have another opinion. But this is really how I do it. And from these things that I find, I group it, of course, as okay, these are the priorities. How difficult is it to implement? And along these two dimensions, you can then make a plan and say, okay, let's tackle these things first. But it requires, I'll come back to your question, a lot of letting go of this attachment to existing structures, existing roles. And then also, another attachment could be that people want to be seen as this really benevolent manager. Oh, you're so nice, and everybody loves you. This is an ego thing as well.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.